Hello and welcome back to BookTube with Jenny Luez. Hello, my fellow BookTube lovers. Guess what? I'm here with another of the Red Glove series of books from Karen Kingsbury. As you may remember, I previously did a video regarding Gideon's Gift. And now we're on to the second book within this series. And so I want to get these videos out to you as a countdown towards Christmas to do one video of the Red Glove series per week leading up to Christmas Day. These Red Glove series of books celebrating Christmas and Christmas miracles are more than fitting for this time of the year and the season we find ourselves within. Thank you for being here, and as always, please like, subscribe to this channel, like the videos, ring the notification bell, do all the things so that the audience here, the community here can grow, so that we can enjoy fellowship with one another, begin to communicate with each other, exchange comments, and talk about all things books. Now, I've been very blessed and surprised with this series by Karen Kingsbury, the Red Glove series, in part because I just didn't realize that they were going to be so good. Now, I've heard of Karen Kingsbury before. I can't recall if I read any of her books prior to diving into this Christmas series, but I am so glad that I did. As with Gideon's Gift, I also am rating Maggie's Miracle, the second book in the Red Glove series, a 5-star. So it gets 5 stars because, wow, these books are not that long, maybe 140, 150 pages, I'm not quite sure. But they're not that long, and yet they pack an emotional punch. And it's really interesting, even when I read the inside cover copy to you, even when the story is kind of etched out and a lot of it's been revealed through the cover copy, it doesn't necessarily give away all of the story. I'm not quite sure how they did that. It's pretty amazing, miraculous in its own way. And even when much is given away, it doesn't take away from your journey through the book itself. And so let me go ahead and start right there. You know what you need to know. It's called Maggie's Miracle by Karen Kingsbury, the second book in the Red Glove series, and I've given it 5 stars. Stick around to hear a little bit more intel from me, how this book played out in my own life, in my emotions, after I've gone ahead and read the inside jacket copy to you. And one thing about these books, too, before I read the inside cover copy, I found Maggie's Miracle at the Friends of the Library location here in Juneau, Alaska. I actually found it on the free shelf, so I got a book for free, and what a blessing. But when I brought it home, I realized, oh, this is the second book in the series. So then that started me down the rabbit hole of, okay, well, what comes first? What comes next? How many books are there? It turns out there are 4 books in the Red Glove series, 4 total. So I went ahead and went to Thriftbooks, picked up the other 3 to make a set, and I was blessed that every book I received had the same similar book jacket, same color palette, and remarkably in good condition for being used copies. So I was pleasantly pleased and surprised, and I love that they all match. And I know that these books are going to have a permanent place on my bookshelf. At some point, I'm going to have to do one of those unclutter the shelf videos where instead of a book haul, I'm doing an unhaul, but that time has not quite come yet. I will do my best to cover that in the new year. Jordan Wright had already talked to God about getting his wish. So far, nothing had happened. But a letter would definitely get his attention. He began to write, "Dear God, my daddy died when his heart stopped beating. My friend's daddy plays baseball with him and helps him with his homework every day after school. Please, God, please send me a daddy like that. Christmas would be a good time. Thank you very much. Love, Jordan." This book, Maggie's Miracle, covers the story of a boy holding on to a precious dream. A disillusioned woman A man looking for meaning and a decades-old promise only heaven can fulfill. Once upon a time, high-powered New York attorney Megan Wright was Maggie, a 13-year-old girl who believed in love. She even met a mysterious boy that summer who prayed she would someday find that joy. But no one has called her Maggie for years. Marriage to a man who could never return her feelings left her resigned to a life without romance nor faith. Now, after more misfortune, Megan discovers her son's letter to God and enlists him in a program called Healing Hearts, a special program that matches children with grieving single adults. Casey Cummings lost his wife and baby in childbirth and has struggled to put his memories to rest ever since. When he signs up to be a mentor for the Healing Hearts program, Megan sees simply a kind-hearted man whose humor and resourcefulness can help her son. She never suspects that Casey's caring and sensitivity will ignite a series of inexplicable and wonderful events that are about to answer this couple's most heartfelt prayers during a time they will always call Maggie's miracle. Ah. What can be said about this book? This book definitely made me cry, but by the end, it made me smile. It made me happy. It's a book about people coming together and helping to lift each other higher. When all seems lost, perhaps all things are just beginning to fall into place and to finally fall into a way of coming together. Not necessarily in the way we had hoped any of it would unfurl or happen, but how it comes together piece by piece is a miracle in and of itself. And what these Karen Kingsbury books do is give us all hope. Hope within the mess, hope within the chaos, hope within the loss. These books are about human emotion and everyday issues many of us face. They're not so far-fetched. In fact, many people like myself have perhaps even lived a part of the storyline within their own lives. Maggie was married to a man who is much older than her. That's my current circumstance as well. In my case, I married a man older than me. You have this hope of being cared for, being loved, because this man is marrying you later in his life and he had never settled down and he finally found his person in you. And so what could go wrong? And yet you find out later that you'd almost been hoodwinked because the age difference does matter. And it isn't him treating you like a princess. In fact, it's the opposite of that. And you discover romance. What romance? In my case, there's a complete disconnect. And it's been sad. For Maggie, it was much the same. Her husband wasn't able to offer her much. He saw her as almost like a colleague or a partner within the marriage, but not as a true love interest. He wasn't willing to really give over his heart. And I have found that to be the case within my own marriage, also almost immediately right from the start after the I do's. But now you find yourself stuck because, believe it or not, out of the mess, there's a blessing in the form of a child. In my case, 4, in Maggie's case, 1. And it turns out your spouse is capable of having love for the children that he's incapable of giving you as his wife. In Maggie's case, this caused her to be jealous. In my case, not so much. Just disappointed. A loveless marriage is one in which your faith can be rattled. Now, for me, that hasn't been the case. I've just dug in deeper and further and harder. But for in Maggie's case, with her high profile job and law, the things that she was a party to every day, the things she saw and bore witness to, she kind of had lost her way and lost quite a bit of that faith to the point where she no longer believed in love. And even though our two storylines now diverge because her spouse actually ended up dying, whereas my spouse is still alive, but we will be parting ways. She's lost that faith. She's lost that love and feeling. Oh, that love and feeling. She's lost that love and feeling. Now it's gone, gone, gone. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now, for me, I still believe in love. I've just evidently picked some duds. But my faith in God is strong, and that is in large part why I can carry on, why this parting of ways for me is not going to be like the other that I described in a past video. No, for me, this parting is a long time coming and one I am thankful for because at 44, I still have a future and a hope, and so do my kids. And we're going to be okay. But in the case of Maggie's miracle, Maggie's husband ended up dying with that whole marriage situation and lack of love and true foundation. When her husband died, she did not cry, but it did affect her son because, as I said, for Jordan, her son, the death of his dad left a hole, left a void because his dad did show love to his son. His dad did do some of the dad things with Jordan that one would expect. And so, having had a father invest in him to no longer have that dad because his dad was older and passed away, well, now all he can wish for and pray each day is that God would send him another daddy, a younger one comparable to the children within his grade around him. He's 8 years old and he just wants that daddy to help him to catch a ball and learn how to bat and to, as discussed in the book, help him with his pluses and minuses and do some flashcards and help him with his homework because his mom, in her high profile attorney job, is just not capable of dedicating as much time as her son Jordan needs. And there is a void, and she needs help. She needs help to lift her son up, to help her son continue to go through the grieving process and to embrace life again and to find his way through it all to where he can see that there is still hope and that there is love to be found and that there is a miracle to be had and that Red is forgiving. And he's going to not only give, but receive. And his letter gets that ball rolling. In the beginning of the book, what's really interesting is we get to see Maggie reflect back on her life and revisit herself at 13 in a dream. And we also get to do the same thing in a parallel storyline in a different chapter, Casey's background and his youth and how he grew. We get to see a moment in Maggie's life from her 13-year-old self that changes everything, something that's always stuck with her. And then with Casey, we get to see how he met his wife, Amy, and the marriage they had and how ideal everything was and how things were just going along so great and so good and they couldn't be happier. And they just had one of those best friend romances. And to be devastated by the loss of his wife as she was giving birth to their son. Now it's been 2 years since Casey lost Amy, and all of a sudden he stumbles across this healing hands opportunity where he could get matched with a young child that has lost their parent. Lo and behold, he ends up getting matched to Megan's son, Jordan. And there's one of those instantaneous click things that happen between Jordan and Casey. Now, in part, this has to do with the fact that Jordan's name is Jordan. Because wouldn't you know it, before Amy gave birth to their son, they had made a list. And this is a similar thing that I had done before the birth of each of my children. They made a list of 5 girl names, 5 boy names to remain undecided until they were to hold the baby in their arms, to be able to look at him or her and to be able to say this name this name is yours. And just like me too, you know, the ones that you favored had a little star by them, or perhaps were a little bit different in color, a little bit darker, a little bit more bolded, because that was the one you favored. On the list of the 5 girl and 5 boy names, when they had a baby, if it were to be a boy, they were going to name him Jordan. But of course, Amy and Jordan both died. And so when he gets paired with an 8-year-old named Jordan, Casey is like, okay, Amy. He believes Amy, God, and cahoots together have, brought about this opportunity for him to get joined up with a boy named Jordan, to know that he is for sure on the right path. And there is this instantaneous, miraculous, we have so much in common. There are reasons why the two of us got matched together. And they end up being like the best of friends and the best of buds right from the start. It's just one of those awesome things that happens right between some people. You just know when you know, like, yes, this person gets me. We think the same. We understand each other, and they're safe, comfortable, loving, kind, good, all the things you would hope for, want, wish for. And then the great thing is that Casey is seeing the void and learning more things about the 8-year-old Jordan, Megan's Jordan. They start to pray for Jordan's mom that she'll believe in love again. Now for me, I knew the twist before the twist came. And it has to do with Megan's 13-year-old self when she was known as Maggie. And interestingly enough, even though I saw the writing on the wall before the big reveal at the end, again, a lot of times when I find books to be predictable, I don't want to rate them very high, because predictability oftentimes ruins it. Why do I even want to keep turning the page? Because I already know what's going to happen. But in this case, it's interesting. I thought I knew what was going to happen. But then as the story unfolded more, I was like, different names, different this, different that. It changed my mind. And I decided, I thought it was going to be one thing. It's obviously not. And so the cool thing is I ended up veering from what I thought I knew. And so even when the big reveal at the end, turns out that my initial gut instinct was right, because I had veered off the path within the middle of the book, thinking that I was wrong with those first thoughts. It still came as a somewhat pleasant surprise to be like, yes, I knew it. And again, as with Gideon's gift, I don't want to give away the surprise, because it's good to leave just a little bit for you watching this on BookTube, to leave you hanging, to get you to go purchase this book for yourself. Because with 5-star reads, I mean, come on, what's there not to like, to trust in what I'm saying, to go out and get it for yourself? Because by now, if you've watched any of my videos, I don't always give out 5 stars. I've just been blessed with the last few books that they've all been amazing. And isn't that nice too, leading up to Christmas, that when you're dedicating yourself to something, when you're giving your time towards reading a book, that you're not wasting your time, you didn't waste your dollars, and that they are going to be a good read and they're going to make you feel. And with Maggie's Miracle, I cried. It was good. Not going to lie. And by the end, it made me smile so big. And so it's a great, great, great Christmas read. Another book that will make you believe. Believe in God. Believe in how He orchestrates everything, that there's constantly being this tapestry that's woven, that maybe we only see some of the back with all the chaos and all the mess, and we can't possibly understand how the threads are going to weave together for our good. And yet 30 years, 40 years later, somehow we see what the storyline was all along, even if we missed it while we were in the midst of it. Miracles do happen. Sometimes they just take time. And so, friends, I highly encourage you to go out and start reading the Red Glove series. I mean, if you haven't picked up Gideon's Gift yet, what are you waiting for? Because now we're on to Maggie's Miracle. You better get chopping. You better get reading. You better get shopping, chopping, reading, all the things. I mean, it's Christmas. And so, yeah, get on it. Thank you, as always, for being here, for reading books with me, for spending this time with me. I appreciate you. I appreciate your support. I appreciate your love of books. And I look forward to your commentary. And I look forward to you liking the video, subscribing to the channel, ringing the notification bell so that each week we can spend just a wee bit of time together. All right. Until next time, friends.